Hey guys, Stags here in the Tool School Workshop. Today we are going to look at the brand new DeWalt DCN690. This is their 20-volt max cordless framing nailer. There's a lot I like about this actually, and a couple things I think could use improvement. We'll take a look at what those are and more after we take a look at the fact sheet. I use this in a remodeling situation on a media room, building a soffit around the perimeter of this old house. So basically, we're dealing with 50, 60-year-old lumber as the backer, and that can be pretty tough on nails sometimes. So yeah, there's actually quite a few things I like about this nailer. First of all, in the interest of full disclosure, I have always been kind of a pass load person, and the thing about it is that was the very first cordless nailer I ever owned. So I judge everything against that. So that's kind of my baseline, so you understand. But with this DCN690, DeWalt has done a great job at coming up with a tool that is actually very functional without using a gas cartridge. It is all battery powered, their 20-volt max system. And does it have that telltale delay? Well, yes, but I actually found a way around that. And I'll tell you about that here in just a couple of minutes. Right out of the box, you get the nailer, the charger, and the 20-volt max battery, plus a set of instructions. All right, let's start our little tour of the DCN690 at the nose. DeWalt was thoughtful enough to put a little soft nose tip there. You can leave that in place if you're going to be working with anything delicate, but this is a framing nailer, so you'll probably end up just removing that altogether. Very handy depth of drive adjustment and a nice chunky wheel there, so you can get your fingers onto it. And it has the rubberized overmold, so it's very easy to grasp and get a hold of. It's very smooth in operation, has little detents and clicks every half turn or so you can keep up with where you are. I found, of course, most of the time I had that thing buried, but then again, working with this 60-year-old pine, stuff's pretty tough to drive a nail in. I also found that using 3-inch nails as opposed to 3.5s worked out a lot better. You'll also see a little lever on the front. That is the stall lever. If the plunger ever sticks in the down position and the nailer won't fire, you slide this lever forward. Now, we'd love to show you how it works, but we honestly, it did it once during the entire time we were using it, and we couldn't get it to repeat it. So that's actually good news for DeWalt. There's also a little light on the back of the head of the nailer that will warn you if there's a jam or a stall. It'll flash an amber color so you'll know what's going on. Along the side, you'll find the bump fire sequential switch. It operates smoothly and didn't give us any problems. Moving around to the lock button, it's in a convenient place for your thumb. If you are a person who locks your nailer when it's not in use, which is always a good idea, you won't have any trouble finding this with your fingers. Let's look at the rafter hook. It's got 4 positions, 2 of which kind of worthless. The other 2, hey, they're great. Hanging on a rafter, hanging on any 2x lumber. The 4th position, it folds it up neatly under the handle. That's where I found myself using it most of the time, but if you are a rafter hook person, you're going to find that position 2 is your preferred position. From a balance perspective, the nailer wanted to kind of roll to one side, but that's because of the offset magazine probably more than anything else, and the way they have to get all of the electronics and everything else in here, I can understand why that would happen. It's not a deal breaker, it's just something I noticed out of the box. Didn't affect operation, but it's one of those things where you feel it in your hand. We all noticed it. Loading the nails into the magazine, very simple process. You slide the pusher latch into the open position, slide your nails in and depress the pusher latch, locks them down, we're good to go. Battery is a slide pack. It has the 20-volt max system, of course, so you got your fuel gauge there and it slides in quite easily. We're all locked and loaded. I actually think this nailer works better, the DCN690, on bump fire mode than on sequential mode. We set a few nails here on the just a couple scrap pieces of lumber, and in sequential mode, you get that, like I said, that telltale little slight delay before it kicks in. Now, you put it on bump fire, and that nailer will just, well, you get the picture right there. This thing flies in bump fire mode. I was real impressed, and it's probably just simply because of the forward motion. You've already got the whole weight of this thing moving forward, and obviously you're helping it bury the nail itself. Real impressive on bump fire. Clearing a jam nail. Now that's an interesting process, and one of my other gripes. The fact that it uses an Allen wrench. I just don't like any process that requires an extra tool, because what always happens to the tool? you end up losing it. Now this one rides at the back of the magazine. It has a little couple of clips that hold it in place. You pull it out, you loosen, and well, you basically just loosen the 2 cap screws at the front of the magazine there. Make sure the battery's out, of course, and the gun has no nails in it, aside from the one that's jammed. And once you get those loosened, the magazine actually folds away. It's kind of an interesting configuration. It folds away from the rest of the nailer. You clear your jam. If you have to push the plunger back up inside there, you do that. And then you close the magazine and make sure you tighten those cap screws at the front. And also remember to put that Allen key back in its home so it's there the next time that you need it. Overall, I think that DeWalt has a winner on their hands with the DCN690. Real impressed with the performance, real impressed with most of the features on it. If you are someone who does not like that telltale lag of battery operated nailers, it may irritate you just a little bit. It is not going to be the same as a pneumatic nailer, but I think this nailer has a bright future. It's an impressive nailer, especially for a 20-volt battery only system. Again, it only uses the battery and no fuel cell. So here at Tool School, we give the DCN690 from DeWalt, their cordless nailer 20-volt max system, an A.